Chapter 9: Evaluating Learner Achievement. Evaluation, as it pertains to instructional design, is a process for determining the success of an individual, product, or process. Learner evaluation, along with formative and summative evaluation types, help ensure that the intervention created during the instructional design process meets the needs of everyone involved. Assessment is the what you did or how you did it. Procedures and techniques that you used are examples of this. Measurement refers to the data. These are the numbers, what you collect in your process. Instruments are what you use to collect the data. These would be things like forms, sheets, checklists, and tests. They all work together. Evaluation is the process for determining the success level of an individual or product based on the data and then making decisions based on this success level. It is the overall process. The purpose of evaluation: it's used to determine the success level of an individual, lesson, project, or program. Provides appropriate data that can be analyzed to determine success level of who or what is being evaluated. The data determines if changes need to be made based on whom is being evaluated and when the evaluation is taking place. The goal of learner evaluation is that it helps determine the level of performance or achievement as a result of instruction. An effective and appropriate evaluation is based on instructional goals and objectives. Developing learner evaluations. An instructional designer examines the goals and objectives to determine what change the instruction is meant to bring about and how success will be judged. So, what needs to be done and how success will be measured. An instructional goal or objective could be a change in knowledge. When this is the case, one could use objective test items, such as true-false questions, multiple choice questions, matching questions, or short answer questions. These tend to have one correct answer. Constructed response tests are another way to measure a change in knowledge. These are usually conducted by essay items. One takeaway from this is that the measured item must be included in every essay response. A change in skill can be measured by things like direct testing, performance ratings, observations and anecdotal records, portfolios, or rubrics. These are more direct methods of measuring skill mastery. A change in attitude. Observation and anecdotal records. Surveys and questionnaires. Self-reporting inventories. And interviews. These are much more subjective, and chances are the answers to these would be more in depth. Conducting a learner evaluation. These are most commonly done before instruction, during instruction, and at the conclusion of instruction. When conducted at each phase, different information is learned about the learner. For pre-instruction, evaluating a learner before instruction has begun allows data to be gathered about a learner's ability related to the objectives and content that makes up the instruction. It is not about what the learner has learned, it is about what they have the ability to learn. During instruction, evaluation during instruction provides data that indicate how a learner is progressing. This is mainly cataloged through observation and can be complicated. Post-instruction. The goal of post-instruction learner evaluation is to determine how successful a learner was. Did it produce a change in learner knowledge, skill, or attitude? Was the learner able to meet the instructional objectives? Post-instruction evaluation tends to be summative. Formative and summative evaluation. Formative evaluation is used throughout the instructional design process to ensure that the intervention being developed is tested and revised to meet the needs of the client. Summative evaluation is conducted at the end of the instructional design process to determine how successful the process was in helping to meet the major goals. What constitutes a successful learner evaluation? It provides adequate data that helps those involved in the instructional intervention make decisions about what took place and what should subsequently be done. And what's the role of the instructional designer? Analyze the instructional goals and objectives. Determine the intended learning outcomes. Based on the instructional objectives and learning outcomes, determine the appropriate type of learner evaluation needed. Design and develop the appropriate assessment techniques that will be used to gather data about the learner. And assist as necessary in the implementation of the assessment techniques. Evaluating learner achievement and the instructional design process. In order to do this, we should ask, what are the goals and objectives of the intervention? What data need to be gathered in order to measure whether the learning goals and objectives have been met? What instruments are needed to gather these data, and are they available? Or do they have to be manufactured? During what phases of instruction should assessment take place? In this particular instruction. What is the process for how the instruments will be administered? How will the data that are gathered be used? Evaluation allows the instructional designer to determine what changes need to be made to the instruction that was developed. Properly designed instruction still needs modification. In that, learner evaluation is probably the most critical type of evaluation because it is determining the success of the learner in achieving the goals and objectives. The results of that learner evaluation can be compared to other learners or to a data set. The data gathered at the 3 different assessment times provides a very different picture of the learner. What's gathered during instruction could help determine how the learner is progressing. Data gathered after instruction can help determine what the learner achieved and what they've retained. If a learner did not meet the learning objectives and the intended outcome through learner evaluation, then decisions are made about what needs to be done next, which often involves changing the curriculum or changing the evaluation. It gives the instructional designer and the instructor of the course the data to determine what the next steps are and what the appropriate course of action will be.